My name is Patrick Hawe. I'm an associated member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer, and member of FINRA SIPC. All trades placed by myself are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Please pause the video, read this disclosure, and position disclosure is still nothing new because this market not quite giving us anything new, although today might be a day I regret nibbling. We'll see. Let's talk about it. So honestly, nothing too much new really to add from yesterday. Just to go over today's action. So we closed weak yesterday with a selling into the close, and then pretty much immediately after futures opened around 6 o'clock, we started to get bid up. Pretty much got bid up all night. All the action was done overnight. So came into a decent gap up this morning, over 1% across the board. Yeah, in all whatever QQQ, IWM, SPY. So definitely a decent gap up and a chance. Nothing's ever guaranteed that a short squeeze could be ignited from the start of that gap up. We gapping up, shorts start to cover. The key would be to break 3,700, 370 in SPY, which we talked about. That's like what really needs to break. And although our extension is getting ruined over time, which these past 3 days we've had pretty much 3 bearish time correction days. Like we've gone down every day. But I mean, we went down today after gapping up 1%. Overall, it's a pretty bearish time correction so far. But the real, we had to break 3,700 on S&P, 370 on SPY. And if we do, shorts should probably start to cover. And we do have room up to at least the lower to mid 370s. That's very fair to say. If not even more, if not even 3,800, honestly, is definitely very fair. Just the question is this going to get worse before it gets better? That's what we've been talking about and asking ourselves. So this morning we gap up big, run through 370, but on extension on the 5-minute chart. So we did actually look at this as a possible Q short back down through 370. But I definitely didn't think, nor did I expect that was going to follow through into this. I was fairly ready for a possible short squeeze higher. Because that just wouldn't surprise me. That's what this market's done for the most part. Besides these two pretty crazy extension bottoms in the beginning of the year, for the most part, all these rallies have been at times where it looks like we're about to break down and then don't. I guess we did here a bit, but then, went sideways. And then the real rally happened, whatever this is, like a couple weeks after the actual low happened. So definitely not impossible to get a bear market rally to whatever mid 370s, even 3,800 or so. But so we end up tailing down off this 370. A lot of Fed speakers today. I don't think anything really drove us down other than just more sellers and buyers. But so resistance failed. That 370, that's like the early resistance. It's still extended, but that's kind of like the early resistance. That just ended up failing, and again, just sellers took back control. So rolled all the way over. Pretty much everything rolled over except for Apple, which it did roll over, but it held up really well. So that's really interesting too. So is this going to get worse before it gets better? That's like the big question right now that we've been talking about. I've been asking myself. Again, I've been talking about extension. I really want 15 to 20 plus dollars of extension to come in for an extension buy. Otherwise, you kind of got to buy on the way up, but you got to do it through like a real level. It's harder with the intraday levels. You got to do it through a real level, which 370 was that real level today, and it failed. So almost worked, but didn't work. You got to get out of the way if it's not working pretty much right away. Or again, even look to the other side. But so is this going to get worse before it gets better? Let's take a look at the VIX. So VIX hit 34 today, and we're getting into this zone 34 to 36 or so, like pretty much mid 30s, where every bottom that's happened this year we've bottomed off of. We haven't really gotten above. I mean, we haven't hit 40 since September 2020. So it's been quite a long time since we've been able to get to 40 plus. And there's been many a times this year where many people have looked for it to happen. And it hasn't happened. It keeps, we look for capitulation or something. It doesn't have to be like the capitulation, but just, some type of capitulatory action. And it doesn't really happen. So is this time different? Maybe. I don't know. If it's not different, today would be a day to maybe look to nibble. Definitely even tomorrow look to nibble. Especially if we start getting to 36. I wonder if this time is different, and instead of, today, like pretty much what we're asking ourselves is what's the next 100 to 150 handles in the market right here. On Friday, right? This was Friday. We were looking for that $15 to $20 extension intraday. We came, or at least I myself came in very ready to possibly buy that day if we get into that extension zone. And the furthest we got was like 15, and that ended up being a low. And it's very possible to just bounce from that, but we haven't really bounced yet. So this VIX has been going up. We haven't really bounced yet. VIX is still having good closes. This VVIX, the volatility of VIX, is really exploding. Closed way higher again today. So we'll definitely see how that gaps up. And this dollar, I guess I could look at the actual Dixie, right? This dollar is going parabolic, and this, signs under the hood, like that's what we're looking at, the VIX, VVIX. This dollar does not look too parabolic, too extended, ready to come down, shooting star, indecision, and there is nothing there saying that dollar is not going to stop, and it's in the midst of going parabolic. And then TNX rates are also in the midst of going parabolic, and while this is extended, there's nothing really here yet. Like nothing really, even like a 30-minute chart, just nothing really there. So that's why this market's struggling all year, right? Like these bigger picture things with currencies and rates and everything like that. And the Fed, of course, too, which the Fed's being super hawkish, as hawkish as can be. It's a lot of Fed speakers this week, and for the most part, they've all been extremely hawkish. So it just really looks to me for now like this could get worse before it could get better. And I mean, like, literally it could happen tomorrow. We could start to really go down. Could be like later this week, could be into October, something like that. But we are set up for a bounce if this doesn't get worse before it gets better. So what's the next 150 from here? Is it to 3,800 or is it down to under 3,500? And then if it's down to under 3,500 into 3,400, then I would be pretty good. I mean, it depends on extension and everything, but that's where, okay, if you're really extended into there, that's when you can pretty fairly say the next 100, 150, 200 is probably up, not down. And if it is down, should be even a better snapback. We'll see. But I don't know. If we don't get worse, which so far there's nothing, in my opinion, showing us that we're not going to get worse, because this dollar doesn't look ready to reverse, and rates don't really look ready to reverse yet. They look ready to, again, they're going parabolic, so usually that gets worse, or that's not really a word, but more worse than you think it could before it gets better. Therefore, I'm not ready yet. I don't know. There's nothing telling me yet that we're ready to squeeze and have this next 150 or so up to 3,800. The other thing to keep watching that's very important, I guess this is the last thing I'll talk about too, because other than that, we're just kind of waiting to see if we crack or not. So keep watching everything that I just talked about too. But this Apple 150 was extremely impressive today and is still holding up and being extremely impressive. So SPY made new lows on the year today, right? Like the market made a new low on the year. The Dow did it yesterday. S&P did it today. Did the Qs do it? I guess Qs haven't done it yet, but Qs are pretty much at year lows. SPY made a new year low, and Apple is still so far off its year low. So that's going to be, this I think is going to be a pretty good, almost, whatever. I don't want to say the G word, but a pretty good indicator of what's about to happen. If this Apple doesn't crack 150, or if it cracks 150, goes no lower than maybe 149, mid 148s or so, and reclaims 150, we're probably going to go to 3,800 if Apple can't crack. But if Apple does crack, which this Apple is downtrending and trying to hold 150 but doesn't look too good, if this Apple does crack, and if it does crack, it's probably going to do it in a big way. It seems like some money's hiding here. I guess end of the quarter window dressing might be going on there. If that does crack, that is another catalyst that could, again, send us down towards that, 340 is ideal, but I'm thinking at, at least like mid 350s, closer to 350. 340 is ideal. We'll see how crazy things get. But yeah, I mean, Microsoft, like, I don't know, nothing there. Google's just kind of like grinding down still. This IWM, nothing really too there. The other thing too that's keeping me at pause that we keep talking about is the volume, which I really don't look at or pay too much of mind. But in I usually just kind of eyeball it, and in general, all these plus 150 plus days around the have occurred around the bottoms, and this it seems worse than last time with kind of what the VIX is doing, definitely what the rates are doing, definitely what the dollar's doing. It seems worse than it was before. So I'm surprised that this SPY volume hasn't really picked up. And if we do capitulate, it's going to pick up, and you're probably going to see at least one day of over 200 million. Definitely, I'm looking for at least one day of over 150 million to make me feel like we're close. So that's another thing that's keeping me at bay too. So that's all I got. That's all really what I'm looking for. Things look like they're going to get worse before they get better, but if that doesn't happen, and again, we do end up bouncing to mid 370s, 380, you can still buy through 370. The extension's pretty much gone, but we do have a big gap here between these moving averages as well. And once that gap starts to widen, that's usually when you see those bigger bounces as well. 370, 3,700 I think is still viable to buy through if it happens. Otherwise, this looks like it's going to keep getting worse before it gets better, and if that does happen, looking for a SPY 150 plus million in volume, and definitely looking for 15 to ideally 20 plus dollars of extension in SPY, so that at this point is going to be closer to 350, if not under 350. So we'll see, but I've been pretty patient, and so far so good. So we'll see. But that's all I really got to talk about. So I have to talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Definitely a tough day today. Definitely a tough day. This week is pretty tired already, and it's only Tuesday. But definitely a tricky day today. If SPY gets more than 1 to 2% below current levels, it would mean Apple and Tesla are just about to break their support. Yeah, I mean, arguably Tesla did it already. Apple 150, well, it reclaimed it. Apple 150 to me is like Tesla 280. I think this is a really big level in Tesla, which we did get that short what was that, Monday, I guess? Or no, Friday. But we're back above it. And Tesla, although Tesla did lose that support, back above support, it's still strong, still holding well. So Tesla will crack under, I think, just switch your 270 to 280 in my opinion. But let me finish your statement. However, if they break down like remaining tech, S&Px could get to 3,000. Well, sure, S&P could get to 3,000, but let's get to 3,400 before we get to 3,000. But yeah, I mean, if they don't break down, then we probably have a bear market rally to at least 3750 to 3800. Otherwise, I don't know, 30,000 is a little extreme. They don't have to go back to year lows and make new year lows. If anything, that could be a positive divergence in the name that they don't do that, and that might be something you want to go to. But yeah, I mean, that's going to get us towards 3,400 if these crack at all. And it's mixed, right? It's literally 50-50. If they crack, everything probably cracks and starts to capitulate, though. That's what you might, like, that's what you see in like, you don't want to sell Apple and Tesla because they're good and they've been holding up. But if you get forced to sell it with capitulation, because that's what capitulation is, that could be an opportunity to buy it. And we could see a day where Apple loses 150 and has like a huge down day to under 145 with big volume, that by the end of the day it's tailed all the way back up to 150, and that was more that was the capitulation. So yes, your general thinking is right. And I don't think. So I guess the first part, if SPY gets more than one, I don't think it's based on SPY as much as SPY is based on them at this point. So like, I don't know, if we gap down big and they gap down below those levels, then that morning the question will be, do they reclaim them or do they not? And if they don't, look out below for now. I saw that LQ. I mean, that's another thing. LQD credit. It's bad and probably due for like a bounce or whatever, but I mean, that's not good. Like, it's not good. This also, we pointed this out during the day. You could look at whatever. I like to look at LQD for kind of just like credit and whatnot during the day. This bottomed on 613. TLT pretty much bottomed 614-ish. I guess it had a gap down, and then it went up a couple days. But let's see, 614. This bottomed on 613. Okay, so every one of the three kind of credit ETFs that we like to look at, HYG, JNK, LQD, at least that's just what I pull up to get a quick glimpse, all bottomed on June 13th, right? June 13th. Yep, June 13th. And the markets bottomed on June 17th. So, as much as I feel like we're like here right now, like where we are right now is where we were on June 13th. And this wasn't, if you were buying this extension, this ended up working. You just had to be ready to buy lower, which is what I was kind of saying today, like with VIX at 34. Like, if you're starting to nibble today, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just do think you should be ready for lower, just in case. So if you started here and had to take some pain but add lower, but that was part of your game plan, it did end up working out, and it ended up really working out. But there was no reason really to buy other than that extension, which we don't even have now. We don't have that extreme extension that we had here either, like at all. But if you were just buying, kind of just saying, okay, like big volume here, I think these might be bottoming or whatever, you ended up having to take some pain. But if you waited like I'm doing and notice this not really make a new low and that kind of start to bottom, you could have been a little bit more aggressive down here, seeing, okay, market is extended again. And we were still pretty extended here. We were at 380 on the EDMA, and we were at 365, 362 that day. So we still got $18 of extension this day at the low. So that still checks off the 15 to 20 plus. But also, credit had bottomed a few days ago. So that's something to keep an eye out on too. Little clues like that. But for now, there's nothing. The clues are not there. So that's why I feel like this is like pretty much exactly how I feel like we're here. Only things are kind of worse. We're here, only things are worse. Rates are higher, right? Um, so that's how I feel. Which, yeah, yeah. Last time, yeah, it was intense. What do you think about buying some ARC? So whenever people ask me about ARC and trading ARC, I usually just say look at the top 5 to 10, and if you would buy them, then buy ARC, and if not, then not, because it pretty much is as simple as that. So that'd be what would be a Tesla, which Tesla's been holding up, and that's been helping ARC fairly. Roku is up there. I know Coin is up there. What else is up there? I think T-Doc is still up there. Zoom is definitely up there. Twilio might be up there. But like a Zoom, like what was your question? What about time to start buying ARC? So would you buy Zoom? Would you buy Roku? Would you buy Square? Square is definitely a big one too. Which if you would buy any of those, it's probably because the market has a short squeeze bounce. And that's very possible. It's very, very possible that I'm gonna regret not nibbling. And if so, I can still buy through 370 and get that, maybe 380, if not 375. But if we have a short squeeze bounce in the market, those names probably work. But if not, then probably not. So that's kind of how I would look at it for you when you are looking at ARC. So I don't know. I'm not sure those names are going to bounce if Tesla, which is still her biggest holding, pretty sure she said that on CNBC this morning. If Tesla cracks and the market cracks and everything cracks and we start to actually get some capitulation, obviously ARC can't really hold up. This bird's going crazy out here. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm happy to wrap this up because this bird just came in and started going crazy. So I'm sure that's not great to listen to. Alright, well, yeah, shorter meeting today, but no progress so far from yesterday, so that's fine. I was kind of expecting to do a shorter meeting. So no real progress from yesterday other than rates went up more, the dollar went up more, which are both going parabolic, and it still looks to me like things can get worse before they get better. But I'm rooting for that because I'm ready. There's a bounce coming. There's a bounce coming. There's always a bounce, even if it's not going to be the low. There's always a bounce. Yeah, and yeah, I thought the whole credit, yeah, definitely something to watch. So we know what to watch. We'll see what happens, and whatever happens, we'll try to catch some of the action in the middle of it. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see what they gap us and go from there. Have a good night, everybody. See you guys tomorrow morning.